Are you gonna live?
No, it's not.
I don't know. She may die.
Oh, Robert Downey Jr. Someone.
Wait.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No, he's oh yeah, he was a cute little brother.
Oh, well, he's not. I think
Talking about celebrities.
I love how you base who is like important in history by looks.
I do. Have you seen Orlando Bloom?
Or no,
Have you seen Orlando Bloom recently?
No, I
was
purposely
wrong.
not picturing that.
Yeah, I saw that.
I was here and I forgot to lock my car and I came out. I'm like,
Okay, my mom lives.
How about Rosie O'Donnell?
We live in Kenmore.
There you go.
Worse than over here. Somehow.
Just gotta make sure that your mom locked us
Somehow. And she never gets found. And I'm like, Mom, like
I usually lock my car, but like the one time I forget,
the one time you
The
forget.
one
Yeah.
time I
What did they take?
my charger like
Meaning
was
that-
not,
Okay,
but
it
my
was
car
not.
was like a wreck.
Right,
Good.
right.
I was,
But we had gotten our
Wait,
Bible stolen.
are you
our
actually
daddy's
gonna do
purse. We've gotten sunglasses,
Good one of those.
Off with his internet.
money.
Oh my
There's
goodness.
our
I can't
whole
take
car
care of
was
his internet.
taken
Johnson just said.
because they broke into our house.
Robert Downey
took
Jr.
our cars, took food.
Robert Downey Jr.
wow.
Yeah.
Chris Evans. Oh my gosh, there's too many.
So,
Chris
I
is
quit
like
this now.
I don't understand how my mom still goes around
Chris
without
is,
locking their car.
We know his 100 names.
Yeah.
That's what just the 100 names. Robert Downey Jr. is just.
Someone else told me they got their car broken into, like at my church last week. I was like, okay.
There's just too many people in this world.
My foot is so
There's
red and
Chris
numb.
stuff.
Don't sit on it.
I know.
But it was cold.
Is he? Okay, really?
Yes. Yep. It's funny.
You wanna know who I really fangirl over?
my gosh.
Brett.
To who?
Oh,
Ew, the
Brett.
country singer?
Mm.
Is that wait, I don't know
I don't
who
know.
it is.
How much was it?
Just the fact that you are over here being girly guys with Michaela.
Well, have you seen those people?
Yes, I have, and I know what their looks, but he's a guy.
So what?
He's not easy like guys.
They're not guy friends who are
Cool.
willing to fangirl
So guess
over
what
guys with you.
before?
I found this guy at
Where'd
camp.
Delina
He's
go?
the best.
So
No,
Sam said
you
you're
can't
having
have
11
cars.
seconds shot on the prep on Saturday, and I told her I could
Listen,
do
a mother
spam
here?
album on
Yeah.
prep. So I said I can do 4 to 7,
I haven't-
and she can do 11 to 4. And
She probably won't be able to get back in.
9.
Oh, she'll be back in soon.
He just.
No, she probably can't get back in the
Nine?
door.
So I didn't choose it, but I was dropping the key, it was a sugar house key.
There you go.
I'm like, willing to try. I had like, that's not that bad.
Oh my goodness, it's broadcasting.
But it was.
Oh my gosh. So I was
Not
trying to
even
cross-reference
more
our cousins in 3 and 7 classes last year. Every
Oh my
single
gosh,
one of them were
so
way better than
It's
any.
such a long like day. Like that's open. That's breakfast and pasta. And I'm going to cry. Like that's all.
That is
Oh my God.
Okay. Okay. Sam clapping, guys. Happening.
Hey, you're back.
The guy who plays Finnick. Hello. Dude. Guys.
No.
Guys.
What?
Jeremy freaking Renner. Okay.
Okay,
Oh,
let's go ahead and get started.
it's going. That's wonderful. Yeah.
Because you know, like,
on
on YouTube, if you have too many, like, anti-Democrats or end times videos, then they'll, like, ban you from watching those videos. Like, you aren't able to watch those videos anymore. What?
Who's gonna ban you from that?
YouTube, like, you can't watch it.
They'll block the videos on your channel.
What?
So you can log in on a different login and watch them, but you can't watch them on that login.
Wait, what?
I don't
If you watch too many basically terrorist videos on YouTube,
I watch
they will block all those videos.
animal videos, and I still
So I
watch
have
them.
some experience.
I think they should just ban the cat videos.
No,
Yes!
no.
Dude, we have to cat.
My dad ran over my
I
cat.
have no cat. I figured.
Okay, no. Have you ever been into one of a kind?
No.
I think I
have.
Okay, the older cats are really gross and creepy.
Oh my
because it's like-
Okay, so what's new in the news today? Anything you guys know of?
The debate is Wednesday.
Yeah, there's another
Oh,
day
wow.
on
Which
Wednesday.
I will not watch.
I watched this really funny dad. We had a debate after church yesterday. Our pastor started it.
What?
The debate, the first
Pastor
debate.
what?
Our
It
pastor
was
started a
so
huge
funny.
debate
Oh
between
my goodness.
Charles and Hillary yesterday at church.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, it was like they said something like right at the end of service, and everybody
Got too many
stayed out
people
for a while. I'm sorry.
I'll show you
It was interesting.
after class. I'll show you.
So
funny.
is the church split?
No. He basically said, if you vote for Hillary, you can leave the church. He didn't say that. He said something like, if you vote for Hillary, I have lost all respect for you.
Hmm.
That's just very like flat out, like I'm not like.
Yeah.
Is voting for Hillary,
sarcastic?
well, here's a question. Can voting for Hillary mean you can't go to heaven?
No.
Okay. Voting for Hillary may make you're like not very intelligent. No, I'm just kidding. I don't care who you vote for, as long as you make an intelligent call on that. But, especially when you got these two running against each other.
We win, you just have to go.
And then I came down, they're like, oh, we went to, fight with me.
Okay, well, you decided, we all procrastinated, it doesn't work.
I was done by 11.
I was sleeping and you yelling
What
at
are
me
you guys-
to wake up.
Sorry.
I just noticed
Side
they all had,
conversation,
I just noticed they all had
after
McDonald's.
class.
It's about class.
Oh, is it?
Well,
And how they
sort
were
of.
doing their homework until the.
No,
They had
he-
I was
we had
one.
on Friday, okay?
There goes the boss. God.
Yeah.
I was the only one, okay.
What else is in the news?
All of that.
Yeah, a lot.
I
I didn't read any of that.
Really?
We need to go back to-
Oh, here we
Selling
go.
clown
Poor
hats.
Tim Tebow runs,
We're done
face
there.
first into the wall.
Did you see
Oh,
that?
oh, that's
Boyer,
nice.
Justin
That's
Boyer?
gonna hurt.
Yeah, he
Oh, you
guys
guys
will-
him on a drone.
no, that's the picture.
picture.
Yeah.
Poyer actually had
Sport.
lacerated kidney from that.
No, that's horrible.
That's
Did you see
nasty.
the hit though?
No. Tiger Woods makes comeback as entrepreneur.
oh, that's
More NFL ratings spiral. Oh, darn, 5-year low. Oh. Maybe it's because Kaepernick's protesting the national anthem and it's turning everybody off. Gee.
he put the.
Did you hear they started, like, the Buffalo Bills, like, were chanting USA and came out the field yesterday?
No, were they?
Yeah.
Sweet. I'm glad he got his
Tango.
trashed. I'd have been disappointed if they'd either won. No, I'm not hoping he gets hurt. I just don't want him to win. If San Francisco never wins another game, I'll be happy. Although I might even want them to win one more game than the Browns, so the Browns get the first pick.
Just
There's
Well,
actually-
they only have to win one game, you know.
Yes,
You know what I can understand about Hillary?
what?
Everything?
Yeah, but how she can possibly support partial birth abortions. That's like, of all this sick, gross.
Because most people don't know what they are, so she can get away with it.
She's bound to know what they are. I mean, I don't understand how she could support that.
Yeah, well,
Guys, the answer is forgiveness. Which one of them can be, which one of their sins can be forgiven?
all of their sins can be forgiven.
But Trump's are a lot easier to forgive than Hillary's.
Jesus is always.
Oh. The thing is, though, all sins are forgiven. The problem is, does that mean either one of them are going to heaven?
Right.
Are either one of them Christian? Based on a lot of their actions, I don't know either one of them are
Apparently
Christian.
some
Yes,
sort of religion.
Vote Pence for president.
I think Pence is a
He's
Christian.
just vice president.
Klein, I don't think is.
Yeah, Klein,
Trump
no.
elected and then shoot him.
Yes, this is what my mom and I have been talking about for like 3 days. Like, let's just vote for Trump,
Not,
shoot him, and Pence becomes our president.
not that I promote killing, but.
But basically,
Hillary voters struggle to name single accomplishment. FBI releases new docs from Clinton investigation.
Oh, what did I
Shadow
read? What did I
government.
read? I read something. It's my aunt posted it on Facebook or something. It was like there's a link to, I know, I really like this link to this website that what the heck? I can't remember.
Did you hear Putin was gonna declare war on us if?
Yeah, I heard that one, I know.
Did you hear that
What?
Obama was
Obama
talking
saying
and you should
There's a
shut
video
up?
of him saying.
Did you hear that?
Well, you
They can
can
make it
finish
up.
your thoughts, so you can finish.
Go ahead.
Sorry, you were like,
Um,
Get it. Okay, never mind.
Go ahead.
Never mind.
No, we're
Never
listening.
mind. No, it's okay. Just
Hey,
have to
remember,
watch.
you guys outnumber him.
Go teach folks.
Yes.
So a couple weeks ago, this
That
guy
was
was
nice.
wandering around an abandoned building and he found like this, like, I don't know what it was, but it had like 10,000 or something votes for Hillary, like vote cards.
Yeah,
I don't believe a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, but there were pictures.
a lot of people.
Pictures can be fake.
Yeah.
Very, very fake.
Wait till after the
I'm glad
election.
that happened to you.
Just like some other
Wait, what you have to watch for is not stuff like that, but when, in certain districts, you have 100% of voter turnout, the number of people that are eligible to vote, they actually do vote. And in the last election with Romney, there was a district up in Cleveland, 100% of the votes were for Obama in that one district. And it's like, you're telling me that there's not one person in that district that would vote for Mitt Romney. It just doesn't make sense. So those kinds of things are what you look for when you're thinking about voter fraud. But I don't know. Of course, Trump is claiming, the Trump campaign is claiming that the election's rigged. Of course, it's funny they're making fun of him for that, but nobody made fun of Hillary when they said that the Russians are trying to hack into the election and rig the election. Of course, they never say for who, but I'm assuming it would be for Trump. Biggest thing that we have to worry about in the next 2 weeks would probably be typically around the end of October, is will there be an economic downturn, which that could probably turn the votes to the election over to Trump if there is some sort of economic downturn. I'm sure the Clinton administration or the Clinton campaign is probably trying to do as much as possible to boost the economy and using all that foreign money to do it. But many believe that what happened that Obama won the election back in 2008 because of the fact that there was a major economic downturn back in 2008, right in the middle of October, which basically caused the stock market to just plummet. And a lot of people, because of that, voted for Obama rather than voting for McCain because they kind of tied McCain to Bush. And so Obama ended up winning the election. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. I think, if foreign governments want Hillary in the office, they will do things to try to keep the economy moving along. And if foreign governments want Trump to win, they might try to do some things to cause problems in the U.S. economy. So again, it's going to be an interesting. The election's 3 weeks from tomorrow.
Oh.
Well, I'm just so happy.
You guys are all lucky you don't have to vote.
The political ads will be over with.
I know.
I'm so tired of even the congressional ones.
Yeah,
Like,
that's true. It'll be over.
Oh, vote for Tom Hardy. He's the greatest guy ever. He's championing getting, holding the VA accountable. Yeah, what accountability? They're still not treating our veterans. Oh, he's gonna, working to cut taxes. Yeah, really? Taxes are still high. Yeah, okay. So you just go on and on. Some of these campaign ads, you just want to slap them. And then the one I can't stand is the guy who does it's a plot. Sounds like something going in the water. Oh, there's a job. There's a job. We should be investing in our waterway. Oh my God. So horrible. I'm so done with political ads.
There's a
It's
job.
like the plot, I keep thinking it's like a toilet. Sorry, bad image.
I know.
I saw this the other day, it was So like this hurricane Matthew,
Mhm.
it like,
What did
yeah,
happen?
on October 7th, so 10/7.
Yeah.
And Matthew 10:7 in the Bible is,
Oh, I saw that.
and as you go, preach saying the kingdom of heaven is at hand.
Yeah, I saw that. That's weird.
Oh,
So
there's
weird.
also.
Yeah, okay, what's Luke 10:7?
Wait, what?
See, I mean, we can, that's the thing that drives me nuts with all these.
The name of the hurricane is Matthew, so
I know.
It's contradictory. It's weird. It's like how it fits.
But yeah, I
Wasn't
mean,
there a Matthew,
Can you
like,
go,
all
like,
the
right
way
down
down?
to this?
Yeah,
I'm gonna
hurricane.
say really Matthew.
Say
No,
that if you
really,
don't-
it's right, like, right
I've
about
heard of you for the work.
Oh,
it's like-
There you go.
See, that's what we should be doing, staying there, eating and
I
drinking.
shed like every 0.5 seconds.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, more.
Yeah, oh, well, you know, there was, of course, the fallout from Matthew and that, the hurricane, of course, that proves global warming. And of course, global warming is happening today because it's gonna get close to 80 degrees today. Are
What?
you guys enjoying it? I noticed,
I literally just took all of my like summer clothes out.
What
All I
were-
have
what?
are like sweaters, and so
See,
Your wardrobe's
here's what you
too
gotta
big.
do. You have too small of a room that you don't have storage.
I
So then you leave all of your clothing all out at all times.
I just put them in bins, and then the bins just end up staying in my room all winter because I don't really take them outside.
I'm not
I wear so much, like, why do I
Don't
switch
worry.
clothes?
look at that, record-breaking October weather incoming.
Yeah, we know, it's like 70 something right now.
So let's see. Akron, Ohio. Yeah, tomorrow, 79, let's see, okay, 10 days. So, let's see, today 80, tomorrow 79, Wednesday 73, Thursday 69, Friday 55, Saturday 53, Sunday 60, 57, 59, 60. With rain on Thursday. Well, at least there's no rain on the weekend, it looks like.
It's gonna be so.
Yeah, pretty soon it'll
There
be
was
snow.
snow on top of my car on, what was that day? That was like.
Yeah, we had that frost
Frost?
advisory.
On
Yeah.
Friday?
That's not snow, that's frost.
There wasn't,
Yep. There was frost on the roof of the house of the guy next to us. So global warming, so make sure, I didn't, you guys didn't get to hear this, but somebody texted me from one of the environmental groups asking if I would register to vote so I could vote for the environment. I didn't know the environment was on the ballot. But basically meaning they probably want somebody like Hillary, want people to vote for Hillary. So, yes,
So how did you respond to this?
I didn't.
Um,
I'm too busy. I was trying to think about how to respond,
No.
but it's kind of like the other day.
no.
It was kind of like the other day, I was on reading.
No.
Oh, yeah, when I was looking for the article I did for the history class, the one on, by Chuck Colson, the reprint.
No.
You should have seen all the comments in there, all the people, the so-called science community talking about, oh, Christians, you all were a bunch of flat earthers. It's like, what?
Like, some of the birds are-
Most people aren't flat earthers. We were not flat earthers. And it's like, so then the one guy, was trying to, then they got into an argument in there. It was pretty funny. They go, well, if they go, and somebody brought up the Bible verses, as far as the east is from the west, meaning the east never touches the west. This one guy goes, well, if I start at one point and go east and my buddy starts at that same point and goes west, we will meet. But if you keep going, you will never change going east to west. If you go, at some point, if you head north, at a certain point, you will start heading south again. But you don't have that when you go east or west. You will never go east and then all of a sudden be going west. But if you do north, you will do that. And it's like, I just so much want to slap some of these people who are so-called scientific intellectuals. I'm like, really? You're an idiot. But it's not worth it. The whole cast your pearls before swine type verse. Yes.
So I finally learned what it means to really want to just beat somebody up last night. When there was somebody at our
You have a
door.
brother, how's that just now
I just-
I
possible?
know, right? I'm
Yeah,
bored.
yeah.
I'm like, I know what it's like.
Okay,
You learn that from the time that he's born.
Right?
You have the
Seriously.
worst game
I mean, like,
You're
this was
young
worse
yourself.
than my brother.
Oh, no, no.
Okay,
no,
so
no,
why
no.
did you wanna beat somebody up?
When, like, I
Control your
was scared
violence.
to death because I thought somebody was at our door trying to break in.
Oh,
And it turns out it was like some cheer moms. At first I thought it was a bunch of teenage boys, which made it more fun. So, but it turned out it was the cheer moms painting our door for the people across the street.
they,
When I
Painted
get
the wrong
noise
door.
in my house, I go around with my airsoft gun and like kick open up the doors.
Oh.
I almost
Okay.
had pepper spray someone the other day on the way to Friday school.
yeah,
I was pulling out of the stop sign. I told you this. I was pulling out of the stop sign and the other guy just kind of like rolled through that stop sign.
Oh, yeah.
And I like kind of just like, I hadn't done it, but like I let him know I was there, like by like pulling out a little. And he like went ahead of me. But then like we're driving, like 2 seconds later, he like stopped in the middle of the road. And I couldn't get ahead of him because I was so looking at him once he stopped. So I was like, okay, maybe there's someone ahead of him. So then he starts going again, and then he just stops again. And he gets out of his car. By that point, I had my pepper spray out there. I was like, all right, come on, let's go.
Let's go. Did you spray him? I have to know the
I got
end.
two guys who like pepper spray.
So did you spray him?
No, never came back.
We're just like not saying I'm not gonna guys. Let's do this. We got this.
okay, so let's move on. So again, we worked on the first 8 principles, morally, basically, natural law and morality and virtuousness, the role of religion, men are created equal, equal rights, not equal things, and that leads us to our inalienable rights. So then we started on the next 9, which was the role of revealed law and the importance there, the sovereignty of the people. If one of the founding principles of the United States is this idea of that the government is of the people, that the people who rule us do so at our consent. They don't do it because they are the ruling class. The problem that we have gotten into, and I think that's why so many people have voted for Trump, is they see Trump as the anti-ruling class person. Hillary is the actual spokesperson for the ruling elite kind of mentality that we have. I mean, just think about this. We elected Bush, Clinton, Bush, Obama, and possibly another Clinton. So in what will have been 8, 16, 24, 28 years, we basically have elected the three families as president. That should scare us. That should make us nervous when we are only electing people from the same family. Think about the fact that what happens in 4 or 8 years when Hillary's done and Michelle decides to run.
I'm moving.
I'm telling you, it's probably going to come. And if not Hillary, at what point does Chelsea Clinton run? And this is the problem that we're running into, is that we run into this idea of a ruling class. We're really voting for a king, which is sad. And we need to get away from that. We also get into these ideas of the separate, some of these basic ones here of, the property rights, probably the most essential, and kind of goes hand in hand with property rights as free market economics. If you can't do what you want with your property, and that's basically what free market economics is, then you're not truly free. We also look at this idea of separation of powers. You don't want all the power in one part of the government. You also have checks and balances. You need to have the ability for one part of the government to check the other. Think of our Congress, which is our legislative branch, the Supreme Court and our courts and the judicial branch, and then the president and the executive branch. There's supposed to be, there's your separation of powers, but you also have your checks and balances. One, can anybody here name a check and balance right now in our government?
If somebody does something bad against the Clintons, then the president will get back on them.
That's not quite what I was looking at. I'm looking more a constitutional based one, but
A law can't be passed unless it's approved by both the House and the Senate.
right. And then, what happens if the president doesn't like the law?
He can veto it.
He can veto it. But what happens if Congress still wants the law anyway? What can they do?
Veto the veto.
Yeah, they can override his veto. It takes 2/3 of a majority, but they can override the veto, which actually just happened. And you mark this day, I actually, in the case of Congress passed a law that allowed the 9/11 survivors to the families of the 9/11 victims and some of the survivors, I think it's some of the survivors, might just be the victims. They're allowed to sue the Saudi Arabia for damages because majority of the hijackers came out of Saudi Arabia. So they're going to sue Saudi Arabia and try to get money from
Wait,
them.
like the whole, what?
Yeah.
What?
The 9/11 families can sue Saudi Arabia for damages from 9/11.
No, I thought the New World Trade Center, you go to the top of it, for only $30.
That's not bad.
It is, like, seriously.
That's because they probably have a hard time getting anybody to want to go up that high
True.
with planes flying around. No. So the Congress passed that law to do that, but President Obama vetoed it because one of the things that the president is allowed to do, that's the president who's allowed to negotiate trade deals and do diplomacy with foreign governments. This law takes away some of that ability because if I am allowed to sue Saudi Arabia, what's to stop Saudi Arabia from turning around and suing the United States for something? We need to be able to allow our leaders to do their job. And I think in this case, the Republican House and Senate overstepped their bounds and by suing allowing this to be done. That veto by Obama, now you heard me, I'm siding with Obama on this one. He is correct in this, he vetoed it, and the president or the Congress overrode the veto. In fact, I think only one person in the entire House and Senate voted against the veto override. So, but that's what separation of powers and checks and balance. And of course, the importance of having a written constitution is then it's not, like if you don't write it down, it can be changed, and it's like writing down a contract. If you don't have a written contract, then people can do whatever they want. So, 19th principle, limiting and defining the powers of government. So, what we need to do is we need to have this, we need to define what the powers of the government are. And some of this comes from sound principles of law are all based on God's law. Again, this idea of revealed law again. But then it also comes down to limiting the government. Only limited and carefully defined powers should be delegated to government. All others should be retained by the people. Meaning it should be your responsibility to take care of yourself, not the government's. The welfare program is a huge violation of that because it tells us that, well, we need to take care of people. One of the biggest arguments I hear for welfare is, this is the greatest country in the world, and the greatest country in the world should not let anybody starve or be poor. Really? The reason why we're one of the greatest countries in the world is because we have the freedom to do what we want, but also the freedom to fail if we have to fail. If you were to never fail, how fun would soccer be if you could score all the time?
So annoying.
It would be, because then then the other team would score all the time and you'd end up in a tie. Ties are no fun. The Ninth Amendment, even our Constitution, the Ninth and 10th Amendment kind of talk about these things. The enumeration of the Constitution of certain rights shall not be construed to deny or disparage others retained by the people. Meaning the laws in the Constitution should not take away the rights and privileges that are reserved for the people. The 10th Amendment says it kind of the same way, but again to the state, for the states. The powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved for the states respectfully or to the people. Again, their meaning here is if it's not explained in the Constitution, if it's not given to the federal government in the Constitution, then it is reserved for the states to make those decisions and for the people. So how do we get away with having welfare? How do we get away with what Tara, we talked about with Michaela about the Department of Education? Does the Department of Education, according to our Constitution, really have power?
Nope.
It doesn't. It really is an unconstitutional department. How do they make their power? Well, they collect tax money and they then tell the states, well, listen, you're going to do Common Core or we're going to withhold funding for your school programs. Guess what? You're not going to get that building. You're not going to get this. So they tend to use the power of the purse to control people. Alexander Hamilton, power being almost always the rival of power, the general government will at all times stand ready to check the usurpations of the state governments, and these will have the same dispositions towards the general government. The people, by throwing themselves into either scale, will infallibly make it preponderant. If their rights are invaded by either, they can make use of the other as an instrument of redress. Again, this is from Federalist Papers. What he's basically saying here is, if you find that the state government starts getting too powerful, you'll go to the federal government, and the federal government will correct the state. If the federal government starts getting too powerful, then you will go to the state to bolster the power of the state, and then the state will take back some of the power from the federal government. The problem is everybody looks to the federal government right now to solve all their problems. Think, if you check the voting records, what elections do people mostly run on or vote in? The presidential. Off-year elections, hardly anybody votes. One of the biggest things that's very helpful to the sitting mayor here in used to be Plasqualik. Plasqualik used to win election after election. Why? Because his election to be reelected as mayor wasn't even during a regular election to vote for who we were going to have as Congress, let alone an election for the president. Because they understand that it's better to have your election during an off time when people are less likely to turn out. So, also in the 17th Amendment, the 17th Amendment was an attack on the states' rights by changing the way senators were elected. Originally, the Constitution had the senators being appointed by the states and not elected by the people. So what happened is the state itself lost the ability to influence the federal government, because now we vote in who the senators. Who's running for Senate in this election? Who's running to be our senator in this election?
Rob Portman and Ted Strickland.
Very good, yes. Strickland, former governor of the state of Ohio, voted out, horrible governor.
Yeah,
Failed.
I remember the names, and he was the two that like.
The two that always have commercials on.
Yep.
Always.
Yeah.
That's why I don't watch TV.
I watched TV.
It's on YouTube.
I don't watch YouTube. I skip. Oh, an ad? Okay, I switch over to a different
Yeah.
page.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's one way to get around it. 20th principle, majority rules, but minority rights. The beauty of our Constitution and our system of government is the fact that majority rules, but the minority has rights. Efficiency and dispatch require government to operate according to the will of the majority, but constitutional provisions must be made to protect the rights of the minority. This is like we were talking in the history class. If you really want to protect if you really want freedoms, you have to be willing to allow somebody the opposite of what you believe. Case in point, Colin Kaepernick protesting the national anthem. You may not like it, but there should be no law, and none of us should be calling for that guy to lose his job. Nor should we be saying that guy should be shut up. I think he shouldn't be allowed to do what he's doing during the football game because he's being paid, and therefore you don't necessarily have those same rights. But a couple of years ago, the NFL refused to allow a pro-life commercial to be run during one of the Super Bowls. They had every right to do so. Do I agree with it? No. But I find it interesting that if Tim Tebow had said, guess what? I am going to not stand for that because of all the babies being killed in the United States. Do you think that he would be given the same protection that Colin Kaepernick is getting right now? No, he would not. They would probably fine him and tell him he needs to stand or he's not coming out. So the problems with the Articles of Confederation was it required unanimous consent of the states to change any laws. That was one of the things we were talking about, the Confederacy earlier, and what was the problem with it. Yeah. Just a second, Stephen. He's on the run.
Wait, what happened?
I don't see him here yet. Andrew? Okay. My second son's here to pick up my third son. Okay, so that was the problem with the Confederation. John Locke, who is one of the scholars that helped with the forming of the Constitution, this was a guy that was known well by our founders, required that majority rule was necessary, but also that minorities must have equal rights. So you couldn't vote something that said, nobody can say this kind of speech, or nobody can do that. Again, if you're going to have freedom, you have to have the right to say what is opposite of what somebody else's believe. And if you really, really do care about freedom, then you will say, you know what, I don't agree with you. I think you're a complete idiot and moron, but you know what, you have the right to be an idiot and a moron. That's one of the things that, what's so great about the United States is we have plenty of idiots and morons.
I'm not allowed to say that first word
Idiot? Why not?
because it's bad.
Why is idiot bad?
Like, it's kind of like rude and disrespectful to people. I mean, my dad says it, but I'm not allowed to say it.
Depends on how you're saying it.
Yeah.
Cause like, I call people idiots all the time, but like, I show people affection by gentle bullying.
Gentle bullying. I love that term. That is so cool.
Yeah.
Are you an idiot?
That's
I
right.
feel like if I call you an idiot, it means I care about you.
That's right.
She's smart, you know she's smart.
Okay, but see, we know you and we know that you're joking
I know.
about it.
So like, I
so-
try to get to know people.
There are a lot
because
of-
they're idiots.
Of course, there's a lot better words to use than idiots.
Yeah.
But, it's an easy word.
Doors right.
Thomas Jefferson in his first inaugural address, all too will bear in mind this sacred principle that though the will of the majority is in all cases to prevail, that will to be rightful must be reasonable, that the minority possesses their equal rights, which equal laws must protect, and to violate would be oppression, basically tyranny. Think about what's, we talked earlier about the group suing the Indians up in Toronto to keep them from wearing their uniform or using their name because it's offensive to one group. Well, the thing about Canada is they don't have the same protections on speech that we have here in the United States. And that's why, one of the reasons why I don't think I'm going to Canada. Maybe Belize, they're a little bit better.
That's cool.
But
Mexico,
Belize
don't go
Belize
to
is
Mexico.
tropical
Not worth
too.
it.
Chocolate keep you out.
Belize is down there right in the middle of Central America. They probably get pretty good. They're not far from the Pacific Ocean, not far from the Gulf side. You know, think about that. That'd be pretty cool. Strong local self-government. One of the things that we lose a lot of today is this idea that the local government is the key to success of the United States. It wasn't meant to be the federal government. It was supposed to be more important who you elected as your county sheriff and your mayor of the town than it was to who was going to be the president. Unfortunately, today we put too much emphasis on who's going to be the president. So strong local self-government is keystone to preserving human freedom. Freedom. Thomas Jefferson emphasized the role of strong self-government. James Madison, the powers delegated by the proposed Constitution to the federal government are few and defined. Those which are to remain in the state governments are numerous and indefinite. The former federal powers will be exercised principally on the external objects as war, peace, negotiation, and foreign commerce. The powers reserved to the several states will extend to all objects which in the ordinary course of affairs concerns the lives, liberties, and prosperity of the people, and the internal order, improvement, and prosperity of the state. See, it was more important because you live in Ohio. You don't like a law that's passed in Ohio. Guess what? You can move to Indiana. Or if you want to raise the IQ, move to West Virginia. That's the beauty of the way we have things set up, is that the government was supposed to be done by the states. That the internal workings of things was supposed to be handled by the state governments, not by the federal. What do you have a problem with now? If the federal government enacts a law, where do you go? You have to go to another country, which is a lot harder than moving across the state. Yes?
And then don't you also have to get I don't know how their countries work, but can you just go there and become a citizen right away?
No. Nope, you have to follow their requirements. You have to immigrate. You know, it's the United States that allows the illegals to come over, not other countries. Most other countries don't. Here was a prophecy. John Fiske. If the day should ever arrive when the people of different parts of our country shall allow their local affairs to be administered by prefects sent from Washington, and when the self-government of the state shall have been so far lost as that all the departments of France, or even so closely limited as that the counties of England, on that day the political career of the American people will have been robbed of its most interesting and valuable features, and the usefulness of this nation will be lamentably impaired. So basically, what he's saying there is, if we stop allowing the states to have the powers to do that and start giving that power to Washington, D.C. and to the federal government, that we will be more and more like France and more like England. So, number 22, government by the people, not by men. Or, I'm sorry, government by law, not by men. Free people should be governed by law and not by the whims of men. What happens with the whims of men? They change, exactly. So that's one of the things that, one of the biggest controversies about Trump is that he is labeled as an egomaniac, and many people that he will just go in and be, well, even as Mike Trevisano on the WTM here locally, he says, what we need is a good dictator to get things done. That's really not what we want, because a good dictator would not be good. That all power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Not necessarily, but that's what happens. So when we're governed by the whims of men, laws can be changed. John Adams put it, no man will contend that a nation can be free that is not governed by fixed laws. All other government than that of permanent known laws is the government of mere will and pleasure. Meaning we are then subject to whatever somebody in Congress decides, i.e. Obamacare. We're being told what to do. Another example is the EPA requirement for gas mileage on vehicles. That causes increased expense on vehicles. You notice Ford no longer sells a Ford Ranger. Why do you think that is? Because the EPA raised the miles per gallon requirements for these car companies to the point where they can only have so many that get a certain miles per gallon. And so they decided to get rid of the Ford Ranger and just keep the Ford F-150, the 250, and the 350. Well, that's why it's really hard to find a Ford Ranger.
You know there's a Ford F-750 pickup truck in that one?
No, really?
Yeah, it's like
The special build?
I don't even know. It's a little bit older, but it's really nice.
I hadn't heard of this.
It's not like
750.
Yeah, it's crazy. I didn't even know it's not 750, but it's like, how?
Yeah. Aristotle, even the best of men in authority are liable to be corrupted by passion. We may conclude then that the law is reason without passion and is therefore preferable to an individual. So really what he's saying here is we want laws. And laws, and again, if we go back and look at this, we want laws governed that start from God. They also have to be understandable and stable. The problem that we have with Obamacare, it's 20,000 pages. Who can understand 20,000 pages of law? Our tax law is huge. You know, they're lambasting Trump because he pays so little in taxes. He's not breaking the law. If he was breaking the law, they put him in jail. He's following the tax code that at one point Hillary was a member of Congress passed. That's what's so funny. Is she was in the Senate. She helped pass some of the tax laws that are probably there that Trump is using to not pay that much in taxes. 23rd principle, the importance of an educated electorate. That means it doesn't matter who you vote for. It's the fact that you actually take the time to learn who you're going to vote for. The problem that we have with so much of this today is that most people go and vote for their party rather than vote for the person. When I ran for office, that's one of the things that I found interesting, even on the Republican side, is that these people, like lemmings, just voted for who their party told them to vote for. They didn't care about who the person was. They just voted for the party. It's like voting to see who, should it be a Browns fan or an Eagles fan? I'm gonna vote, oh, I'm an Eagles fan, so I'm gonna vote for the Eagles. Democrat and Republicans were talking about something far more important than a stupid game. That's why we don't vote that way. Importance of education. A free society cannot survive as a republic without a broad program of general education. So we need to have, not only that, we need to have intelligent people. Good education requires good local school boards, strong literacy, which we don't have today, includes morality and politics. Children must be trained in the Constitution, which most are not, and Bible reading. How many of you are reading your Bible enough?
Starting now.
Once a day?
See, unfortunately, it's up to you, which is enough.
It's something I've had many deep conversations about. and
A good enough
It's hard to
is
find,
one, you know,
like,
once a day.
what is enough.
Right.
Stop.
Is it hurting you? I can have to separate you two.
Yes. My gosh.
Michaela chimes in on that one. Peace through strength. A free people will not survive unless they stay strong. Where the unions formed, where we once united, thoroughly armed and disciplined, were everything in our power done for our security as far as human means and foresight could provide. We might then, with more propriety, humbly ask the assistance of heaven and blessing on our lawful endeavors. So here's Franklin, who of course was known as a deist, and probably the least religious of all, thought that we should ask the assistance of heaven. Franklin was disgusted with popular apathy. Our people certainly ought to do more for themselves. It is absurd they pretending to be lovers of liberty while they grudge paying for the defense of it. So he thought that it was people should pay for their defense. We should have a standing army. That and impost 5% on all goods imported, though most recently proposition had not been agreed to by all the states and was therefore frustrated, and that your newspapers acquainted the world with us, with the non-payment of taxes by the people and with the non-payment of interest to the creditors of the public. The knowledge of these things will hurt our credit. So he basically is talking about the fact that we need to be able to collect money to pay for an army. To be prepared for war is one of the most effectual means of preserving peace. So the idea, peace through strength, it was Ronald Reagan. And of course, they said Ronald Reagan would send us into war. Ronald Reagan really did not send us into very much war. Free people are not only to be armed, but disciplined, to which in a uniform and well digested plan is requisite. Basically meaning we need to have an army that's trained, can fight, and can defend us. Avoid entangling alliances. What does that mean? What should we do to avoid entangling alliances? Think of World War I. What happened during World War I? Archduke Ferdinand was assassinated. What did that lead to? Germany goes to war against, what was it? No, Austria went to war against somebody. Yeah, it might have been Prussia. And then that led to Germany joining in, which then led to England joining in and France joining in. And all of a sudden we're fighting World War I. So that's what they mean by getting involved in alliances with foreign countries. Peace, commerce, and honest friendship with all nations, entangling alliances with none. That was the principle, that we should not be involved. Think about the way we are today. We are so involved in everybody else's problems that in many respects we can't solve many of our own. We send so much money overseas to foreign countries, which is one of the things actually that I love about Trump, is that he wants to cut a lot of that back. The idea was separatism, not isolationism. There is a difference between separatism and isolationism. Separatism means that we separate ourselves. We will stand up against the bad guys, but we will not be so isolated that we won't get involved. Switzerland is the modern example of separatism. They will get involved if necessary, but they tend to remain, aren't completely isolated. How many people, anybody here have a Swiss bank account? No. So it used to be you could go over to a Swiss bank account, you could put your money in a Swiss bank and they would not share that information with the federal government. Since then, they started doing that. They started telling the federal government how much money people have in Swiss bank accounts. The difference in America, separatism is the idea of manifest destiny. This placed upon the American people the responsibility of serving as the vanguard nation for the moral and political emancipation of all mankind. Unfortunately, today, separatism has been replaced by internationalism, mainly meaning we get involved in everybody else's problems and we try to solve them. Rather than being the proponent of freedom, we're sometimes seen as a problem because we go in and we change governments over and we don't make things better, we make them worse. Protecting the role of the family, the core unit which determines the strength of any society is the family. Therefore, the government should foster and protect its integrity. Think about welfare. Welfare does not protect the family. Welfare basically says, oh, you don't need a dad, we'll take care of you. So you can have as many children as you want and no responsibility for the dad or the mother and just give birth. Avoid the burden of debt. And this is a good burden not just for countries, but for you. Stay out of debt, except for a house. That'd be about the only thing you should have debt in. No credit card debt. No credit card debt. We'll get into that in
I
economics.
have a debit card.
The burden of debt is destructive to freedom. It subjects, it usually causes conquest. One of the reasons why we have to be nice to China is they have over $1 trillion of our debt. And if they called that all in, it could destroy our economy very quickly. And the last principle, our sense of manifest destiny. It wasn't just the fact that we were going to control from sea to shining sea, but that this idea that we were something different, that we were about freedom, something that the world very rarely has seen, is this idea of freedom. So the United States has a manifest destiny to be an example and a blessing to the entire human race. Reagan called it the light shining on a hill, that we were supposed to be this beacon. And many have said if the United States goes dark, meaning that if the United States stops being that moral compass for everybody else and a blessing to the world, that the rest of the world would be plunged into darkness that unlike we have ever seen in like World War I or World War II. The death and destruction will be unbelievable. Could even be biblical, like Revelation, where the blood was running so high that it was what? It came up to like the knee. That's how much the blood was. Okay, that's it. So I will send you guys, I'll send you that PDF. Those of you in history, I will send you some information on the pictorial essay that I do. Don't forget, if you have any questions on your project for here, let me know.
Okay.
See you guys next week.
Thank you, Sharky. Yeah.
These chairs don't move.
I know.
Nope.
I know.